So to give you an idea of what I'm doing, I'm making my costume for Minerva McGonagall, and what I do is I tape out everything, like all of the seams that I want for the costume, and then I lay a piece of muslin, which is a kind of fabric, over top to make it line up flat, so no creases or anything, and then pin it down and trace where the tape is, and that's where the seam will be. And this process is called draping. I don't know if I mentioned that. And yeah, fun sewing stuff. So now I have all of my pieces cut out, and what I'm going to do is iron them again, and then I can assemble them. And as you'll notice, these don't quite line up like puzzle pieces. It's because when you put them together, they create the shape of the body. So that's why when you make costumes, it's called building costumes rather than just like sewing them, because you're building something that's three-dimensional. And so, as you can see, it fits perfectly for like half of it. I mean, like, the other half is identical though. So yeah, so now what's gonna happen is I'm gonna take it apart, do a tiny bit of adjustments because this is a little tight around my armhole and a little too short for my waist. And yeah, it's gonna be lit. Now you might be wondering, Emily Grace, what fabric are you gonna be using for this? Because like, that's a big project. It's probably gonna require a lot of fabric, and that's gonna be pretty expensive, and you're broke. Well, this is a tablecloth I got from Goodwill for $4, and it's gonna be making up at least the majority of the dress. Alright, so what I just did is took this and traced it out on this newspaper. It's good to use as much like open space, like you wouldn't want to like do it right on top of that because you wouldn't be able to see the pattern. And I traced it out and then did extra along here, and that's all 1/2 inch away from this, and that's to give myself a little more seam allowance, so that it can be a little looser if I need it to be, except for along this line, because that's going to be placed along a fold when I cut it. And yeah. Also, I'm an idiot and forgot to add 2 inches to the bottom like I said I was going to do, so I literally am just gonna tape it on. So here's the next part. This is half of the skirt, and what's gonna happen is this is gonna be placed along a fold when I cut it, and you'll notice that these are all like thinner at the top, and this one's the full width, and that's because I'm gonna be pleating at the top so that there's a lot of fullness in the back. And yeah. So the next part I'm actually doing with cardstock because I want the firmness that it has, and I'm making pointed shoulders like in my design because, you know, pointed shoulders equals strict teacher. So next I'll be working on making the collar lapel thing. So I just built up the collar here again with cardstock and gave it that 3D look, kind of reminiscent of Snow White and that whisk collar from the Elizabethan times. And yeah. And that's all of my sewing adventures for the day, folks, because I am on my way to babysit so that I can earn money so I can keep doing things